So I know the title of this video is going to seem very much problematic to some people. Some people might take that and feel personally attacked by it, which I can understand at first glance. It might seem reductive, but trust me, as later on I explain in this video, why I believe that Black femininity is not real. Femininity is not racially defined. That's just the truth. That's just how it's always been. The term is inherently problematic because it's saying that other races are inherently more feminine than the Black race. We don't usually say white femininity. You know what I mean? We usually already assume that white people can be feminine. We believe by default that other races are just more feminine than Black women, which is not true. This is why in a lot of these Black femininity videos, these women will often say that we need to be more submissive, more soft, more delicate, basically be hyper feminine in order to be feminine. A lot of these channels want us to be even more feminine than what is seen as stereotypically feminine because society in general just does not tend to see us as feminine. Telling us that this is what we need to do in order to please other people's definition of femininity is problematic. And you're also implying that we inherently are not able to be feminine unless if we do it better than other races do, which is racist and to a certain degree colorist as well, because lighter skinned Black women are able to get away with being seen as feminine and being treated as such as compared to dark skinned Black women don't really have that same ability to be treated and seen as a feminine woman. Darker Black women are expected to be more feminine, to be extremely hyper feminine in order to be treated as a feminine lady, which is problematic. I have just always naturally been a hyper feminine person, but I shouldn't have to amplify my femininity in order to be taken as a feminine lady. You know, I shouldn't have to feel like I need to be like that because people see me as more masculine and as the strong Black woman stereotype just because of my skin tone. Now this is something that I am extremely tired of hearing, and it's something that I hear a lot. Me liking things that are typically associated with white people does not make me whitewashed. The term is often used very incorrectly. I've seen many different definitions of the term. When I say whitewashed, I mean someone who wishes they were white, or someone who wants to be treated and seen as a white person, someone who tries hard to appeal to white people specifically. I would consider those people to be whitewashed. Now, some people say that a whitewashed person is someone who just simply did not grow up with Black culture, which I guess I can kind of understand what they mean, but when you say it like that, it's very problematic because you're basically saying that just because someone did not grow up around stereotypically Black culture means that they are whitewashed. So what is considered whitewashed then? So that means that everything that is not a stereotype of Black people, if you don't have one part of you that is a stereotype of Black people, you are whitewashed. You have got to be whitewashed. There's no way that you can just simply like these interests it must mean that you're whitewashed. You're basically restricting us to this idea of black woman, that we have to be this stereotype, basically. And if we deviate from a stereotype, oh, you automatically do not like being black, or you hate your race. Like, we are restricted to these. We have to be restricted to our stereotypes. And people also throw this word around a lot because of that. Like, you don't like rap music and you like pop, you must be whitewashed. You don't speak in slang and you don't really have a strong quote-unquote black scent, oh, you must be whitewashed. You dress in a certain way, you have got to be whitewashed. The overuse of the term is hurting our community. By categorizing certain things as whitewashed, you are essentially saying that any black person who does behave in a certain way or has certain interests that are not stereotypical wants to be white. You are literally stereotyping your own people. I know that it's not only black people saying that black girly girls are whitewashed. However, I'm not gonna act like people in our community are not also perpetuating this idea as well. Most of the time growing up, I have mainly heard this from people who did not identify as white. So, like, I'm not trying to, diss the community or anything, but this is an issue that we need to work on, and that needs to be fixed. To elaborate on one of my earlier points, black femininity idolizes light-skinned women. A lot of these channels that like to talk black femininity always use women that are white as examples, or women that are light-skinned black women as examples of what femininity, black woman femininity is supposed to look like. I can't find my brush. Which is just like, why? Again, you, like, that may not be your intention, but you're essentially saying that these people, right, like, it's like subliminal messaging, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, it's there's an underlying message when you display the idea of black femininity to be a light-skinned black woman. There's something that comes with that. It's sending a certain message that black women of a certain tone have to try harder because they just inherently are not as feminine. They have to smile more. They have to be much softer. And the thing is, I feel like a lot of these channels don't really take into consideration why a lot of black women are not as feminine in the first place, or are not in their idea of femininity, which I'm going to elaborate on in the next point. So it's no secret that in poorer places there is more crime, and most people in poor locations in the United States are people that are not white most of the time. It's also no secret that in situations like that where there's a lot of crime, or you're in a very poor location, it's not very beneficial to display this vulnerable type of femininity that they want black women to feel so bad. Like, there are different types of femininity, okay? We don't need to be restricted to this very damsel in distress, weak, I can't do anything myself type of femininity because of our skin color. That's insulting. That's like very insulting. The blog post I wrote about this is proof. The most vulnerable, complete embodiment of the ideal feminine Senegalese woman was the most pushed over and disrespected. That's saying something. We should not be restricted to this type of femininity, which I feel like is what the femininity channels are trying to sell us. They want us to be incompetent. They want us to be extremely weak and vulnerable. I don't need to be the strong black woman, but I refuse to be a weak black woman, okay? I would rather be a soft, confident, powerful, but gentle. You know, I can be feminine, but still be self-assured and, you know, a powerful woman. We don't need to be sold this complete damsel in distress type of femininity. And a lot of black women in these conditions cannot really express that kind of femininity. They're not able to, you know, fully do that because a lot of us have gone through some horrible stuff and I've been in some horrible situations where we can't exactly display vulnerability because vulnerability is putting us at risk. The blog post I wrote, I talked about, you know, like I'm just a naturally very girly person. I've always been a girly girl since I was younger. But in that situation, I could not and I did not feel safe being my actual feminine self because I felt like I was going to be attacked or people were going to see that as oh, okay, we can do whatever now because look at her, look at the way that she's acting, look at the way that she presents herself. She's so weak, she's so vulnerable, she's an easy target. I'm not going to do that, okay? These people like to advertise to these black women living in these bad conditions this very weak and vulnerable femininity. This is not a good form of femininity. This is a toxic form of femininity. It's basically saying to be feminine is to be weak, is to be vulnerable, is to be defenseless, is to be incompetent, to be a damsel in distress completely, which is just not it. It's so dangerous. It makes it so much easier for a woman to be manipulated and taken advantage of. Despite what the channels may say, you can be a feminine and strong black woman. You can be self-assured and also soft. These exist, okay? You can be a powerful type of feminine. You don't have to be a weak type. You can be soft, but still know your worth. Still have brains. Still be smart. Still think. Still have independence. Women like that exist. And I just find it very dangerous that this is the type of femininity that we are currently being advertised. This is why there is a much bigger reason as to why I just no longer follow these channels anymore. But this was definitely a huge reason because I do not want to take part in a community that basically wants to turn us into the Stepford wives.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.